What are the craziest ways someone has made a lot of money? Lord Timothy Dexter constantly lucked into lucrative business deals. At the end of the American Revolutionary War, he purchased large amounts of depreciated continental currency that was worthless at the time. Massachusetts paid its own notes at par. He was advised to send bed warmers, used to heat beds in the cold New England winters, for resale in the West Indies, a tropical area. This advice was a deliberate ploy by rivals to bankrupt him. His ship's captains sold them as ladles to the local molasses industry and made a handsome profit. Dexter sent wool mittens to the same place, where Asian merchants bought them for export to Siberia. People jokingly told him to ship coal to Newcastle. Fortuitously, he did so during a Newcastle miners' strike, and his cargo was sold at a premium. He exported Bibles to the East Indies and stray cats to Caribbean islands and again made a profit. Eastern missionaries were in need of the Bibles and the Caribbean welcomed a solution to rat infestation. He's also known for publishing a book which originally had no punctuation. Because of complaints, later editions included several pages of punctuation marks to be cut out and added as the reader wishes. There's no way that last one is true. LMAO. I actually have his book A Pickle for the Knowing Ones and it's wonderful. Just the ramblings of a total madman. He mainly talks about how great he is and then loses track and goes on wild tangents about all his opinions of the world. And there is a page at the back full of just full stops and commas with a note at the bottom where he says due to complaints over the lack of punctuation in his writings, he's included this page and advises the readers to salt and pepper them into the text as they please. Ramblings of a madman about how great he is, then gets distracted and talks about his opinions on the world. I've never read something so relatable. I've never been more inspired to write it down. I was clerking at an estate/tax planning firm in the late 90s. My job was to prepare a rough accounting of assets that were to be placed in various trusts and other vehicles for a client that was filthy rich. I mean, he made Richie rich and Scrooge McDuck look poor. We ended up talking about investments and he shared the story of how he made his money. In 1973, New York City was about to go bankrupt. Its bonds were trash, being sold off in a fire sale. This guy took out a loan of $100,000 and bought them up as many as he could for pennies on the dollar. Keep in mind, everyone thought he was nuts. But he knew that New York State and the feds would never let a city like NYC go bankrupt. So when the state and feds figured out a loan financial rescue plan, his bonds went from shit to gold. He sold them off, making millions, allowing him to pay off the loan debt in a single check. It's crazy because the guy wasn't rich. To get the $100,000 in cash, he had to leverage every asset he had. He risked everything for his belief that NYC wouldn't actually go bankrupt when everyone else thought it would. Took cast iron balls. Crazy. Had a friend who went from blue collar to fuck you money via Kmart/Sears in a similar fashion. They easily could have come up with a bailout plan that zeroed out creditors. A Canadian guy, as a joke, put a Ziploc of air from near Banff, Alberta on eBay for 99 cents. When he realized he lost money on shipping, he priced the next one at $168 and somebody bought it. He and his partner are now selling a few $100,000s of bottled Canadian air every year. What the absolute frick, there's a market for Canadian air. BRB bout to travel around the world selling all sorts of air, with all flights and accommodation paid for or written off as business expense. I've seen BTS fans buy and sell literal bags of air from their concerts because it's the same air the members breathe. You can say fuck on Reddit. Frick makes you look juvenile. Says the guy with Cock & Co. as his name. Crassness is also unappealing. LMAO, then just find a different word. Substituting a couple letters in a curse word is not going to protect the youth. I absolutely refuse to believe a mature, rational adult is using frick in their everyday vernacular. It just sounds so childish and stupid. I have never heard someone over the age of 14 say that. You have a big boy brain, use it and find another word. If crassness is really this important to you, you should be mature enough to restructure your sentence to prevent alluding to crass acts. Or you shouldn't be on Reddit LMFAO. There's literally rape fantasy subreddits and you can't even say fuck because it's too crass. Half of this website is porn. I'm sorry I didn't phrase or approach in with how you would. Personally, I don't care, but it seems to cause you a lot of emotional distress, at least enough to go through the effort of typing all that up over one word. Hope you find inner peace and solace in your life and are able to be less combative with others. As an FYI, saying fuck isn't what I meant about being crass, it's your handle and attitude that lacks refinement. Don't cut yourself on your edginess. The original Flappy Bird app made $50 million USD in 2 weeks. The AI profile picture app made $20 million in 8 days. Both apps manned by only 2 people at the time. This is what I'm hoping for when I finish my degree program. Start programming some apps now. You don't need a degree to drop an app and you will have a better education and a better CV from the experience. If you're lucky, you'll have a hit, but you'll also be able to find out early if it's for you or not. Also, you've got significantly cheaper options for finding people with a wide range of abilities looking for help while you're in school than you do after you graduate. You could find a fellow student to perform some tasks that aren't in your wheelhouse. Hiring a professional after school is very fucking expensive and you aren't likely to get many qualified takers who will do the work for a small cut of the profits. Be mindful though. Lots of university programs have intellectual property rules if you developed something while in school. I don't know all the ins and outs, but they could claim it as their own after the fact. There was a con artist, Victor Lustig, back in the 1920s, he famous from selling the Eiffel Tower a couple of times. But he had another scam where he'd sell a magic box that made money. He would stick a $100 bill in one end and turn a crank and pull a couple of levers and then 2 $100 bills would spit out the other side. Obviously it was fake, but he would load with enough money to convince people to pay him large sums of money and then he would take off with money and the mark would be left with a bullshit device. He once sold one to a rich passenger at the start of a transatlantic boat trip, then was stuck on the boat with them. Guy realized it didn't work and he convinced him to buy another. One version of the scam was he sold them black pieces of paper that were dyed with ink as they were rejected bills the mint wanted to destroy but still had to keep for inventory purposes for a set amount of time. Complete lie. He claimed he got them from a mint employee who snuck them out. If he rolled a few into his magic box and left them for 24 to 48 hours for his special chemical to work, it would remove the dye. He would demo it claiming he had put in the dyed notes days before and have the mark crank the handle, spitting out a clean $50/$100 bill. As well as the device, he would also upsell them stacks of the dyed bills, saying he didn't have the time to process them all himself. Please like and subscribe for more daily content. I publish new videos daily, otherwise please feel free to check out another video. Thanks for watching.